Welcome to the Only Male Cruise Show, the podcast. I am the only Male Cruise. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Let's go to work. I am the only Mel Cruz. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. So today's episode, A Tale of Two Cities, Mason, Tennessee takeover. So we got, actually have a guest in the backstage in the studio right now who is familiar with what's been going on. And so for those of you who are unaware, a small town in Mason, Tennessee is actually under siege, if you will. And it looks like the comptroller is attempting to take over the city. What I'm going to do right now is bring in a well-informed guest. His name is Black Wall Street, and we're going to talk about it. Hey, Black Wall Street, how are you? And your mic is muted, sir. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, Mel. Thank you very much. Sorry, I was trying to get something else done real quick.
Yeah. I know. You're constantly busy. So shout out to the
Thank you
people in the
for
chat.
having me on the show, by the way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it because you've got some great insight on what's been going on with Mason, Tennessee, and I don't want to belabor the point, but it's really important, and I feel like we need to. Judge Joe Brown was in one of the Twitter spaces the other day, and he said everybody should do whatever they can to bring awareness of this situation. So really, to be honest with you, I don't know how you feel about just providing like a brief overview about what's going on in Mason, if you wish.
Yes, sure, no problem. So basically what's going on here is the comptroller of Tennessee, Jason Mumpower, is attempting to do a modern-day Black Wall Street massacre without the guns and the bombs through a hostile takeover under the guise of mismanagement by the current Black American mayor of that town and vice mayor of that town. And he's blaming the mayor for, again, mismanaging the town. However, the mayor has only been there for a few years, and in that few years, he's been cleaning up the mess of the previous regimes, to the likes of filing the last 5 years of taxes that were behind. And he's done that in the short period of time that he's been there.
Right.
But he's being accused of mismanagement also because of the finances. They're in the $600,000 debt off the top that we know about so far, which is their water and sewage bills. And that was due to the previous regime was engaged in some fraud and corruption where their embezzlement of $600,000, and they have yet to receive any punishment or accountability. There was some plea bargains given, and from my understanding, only one person served any time, and that was just some clerk lower down on the totem pole who
A
was
random Black woman.
Who was Black
Absolutely.
woman. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And so part of what we understand here also is what they're trying to do is force the mayor to give up their charter, which would give up their total power and control over what's of the economic boom. Now, the economic boom is coming because of Ford. Ford is going to be building one of their largest, if not their largest, manufacturing site to date in a nearby town that's about 10 miles away called the Blue Oval City. And that facility is going to be the manufacturing facility for their new Ford electric Ford F-150 vehicle. And
Right.
they're also going to be manufacturing batteries on site as well.
Hmm.
So you can imagine that's going to be a huge, huge facility.
Absolutely.
Um, and yes, and so the economic boom is going to be, obviously impacting the surrounding areas. And again, Mason, Tennessee being one of those, which is again about 15 minutes away to the
Hmm.
west.
Right.
And sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, so now what I have right now, and this is like, okay, so I have this clip of Mum Power, who is the comptroller who's trying to take over everything. And now, and I believe that his appointment as a comptroller is an appointment and not an elected official. But I'm going to run this clip real quick so we can hear it from Mum Power's perspective. And I mean, you can, it's just, listen, this is so racist. It doesn't make any sense. So let's check out this comptroller, y'all, and just pay very close attention because Mum Power is going to use words like, if the mayor, if they can't articulate, and you know what they say about Black people and the word articulate. So let's get into that real quick. Looks like Black Wall Street is back. I'm gonna bring him in, but we're gonna check this clip out real quick.
Glen City, 4 miles from where the Ford plant's going to be, that's potentially going to lose their charter. How does that get justified, and what is the situation with the finances specifically?
20 years of poor financial management in Mason. What we're trying to do is help them get on track so that they can benefit from all the development that's coming to their area.
And why is this becoming a situation now when
Well,
we've had problems?
it's been a situation for 20 years.
Right, but like, why are you leaning on them now?
Well, it's just become untenable, and they've never had an opportunity. The tax-paying citizens have never had an opportunity like they do now.
It's for their own good?
It's for the good of the tax-paying citizens who are getting nothing for the taxes they're paying.
What does that mean, getting nothing?
Well, they're getting no services. So when the mayor of a city can't articulate what benefit the taxpayers are receiving from being a city, then it's time to evaluate whether they need to continue to be a city.
The timing of it, that you're now starting to pressure them right when Ford shows up, it starts to look a little more than coincidental. So I'm wondering, why suddenly are you taking an interest in Mason?
Because if Mason doesn't get their finances in order, the opportunity for development is going to bypass them.
The opportunity for development. So
The
there's a
opportunity
development situation?
the opportunity for neighborhoods to develop. You know, Mason doesn't have a grocery store or a gas station, and the citizens suffer from not having the ability to have those things in their community. If they don't get their finances in order, just as we have done with other communities across the state, the comptroller will have to run their finances for a while.
What other communities does that happen to?
Jellicoe, Van Buren County, to name a couple. We make a decision about their expenditures.
They're feeling bullied, just so you know. I talked to them. So.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand. There's a lot of tough decisions that need to be made, but when you can't articulate a single benefit that taxpayers are receiving for the highest municipal taxes paid in Tipton County, you've got to look inward.
Okay, so this is what's so problematic to me regarding that video that we just saw. I don't know how you guys feel. Sound off in the chat. He sounds so disingenuous as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so he alludes to 20 years of mismanagement, fiscal mismanagement. But just bear in mind, the facts are that up to approximately $600,000+ was misappropriated by a person who was in the administration, which at that time it was an all-white administration, except for a Black person who was like a clerk or whatever. They stole this money, and this individual, I think his name is Charles Tyndale or something like that, was indicted. They did some type of a plea agreement or something of that nature. Either way, they're not making him pay back the money. And so this comptroller, Mum Power, is saying that 20 years of mismanagement, but the current administration had nothing to do with that 20 years. The comptroller says they've never, they don't have a grocery store. Why are you waiting until now to all of a sudden act like you're concerned whether this Mason, Tennessee is in a food desert or, everything that Mason, Tennessee doesn't have? And if you know that Mason, Tennessee is, lacking in all of these, fundamental essentials for a community, why do they have the highest tax bracket going on in Tipton County? Black Wall Street, I don't know if you have any comment on that.
Well, it's interesting, like you said, how they're trying to blame 20 years of mismanagement when this town has been historically run by white people, right? And then in the last, all of a sudden, the last, year or two, or a few years that the black mayor's been there trying to clean up the mess and
Mhm.
manage as best he can with outstanding debts from previous fraud and corruption, that all of a sudden they want to blame him for mismanagement.
Right,
It's just clear as day to me what is going on there. That's just some racist tactic that they're doing. This is classic. This is nothing new. This is just like, again, like Black Wall Street. It's like a modern day lynching. This is like modern day Jim Crow or redlining. They always try to vilify us to excuse why they're doing it. But
right.
if you start looking into the research in further detail, then you'll see the county mayor that's over the county
Yeah,
region. He
absolutely.
has some a large plot of land, about 250, 300 acres, in close proximity to all that's going on here. Now he can't get a sewage approval, and Mason does have a sewage approval,
Right,
and Blue Oval City has two sewage approvals, so they'll be fine. But
right.
he won't, and his land is prospected to be prime real estate for development of suburban, uh, uh, um,
Housing and
homes and,
yeah,
housing and homes and everything like that for the workers that are coming out there to work at the Ford facility and things like that. So
yeah,
he's positioned right now to really rake in some good money, but he
absolutely.
can't if he doesn't get that sewage approval.
Right,
And so that just is a obvious sign of what's going on here. This is simple math. And then also, and so if the town Mason is to give up their charter, that would go directly to the county mayor, from my understanding.
right.
He
It
would
would
be
be
in
under
control
under his control. Now I'll tell
under.
you what you oh, I'm sorry. You brought up a good point, and I want to play this clip real quick about when the mayor was in Twitter Spaces, and he actually outlined what the real deal is about the sewage situation. So let's run that clip real quick, and then we'll come back right after that.
Around that the county mayor, he had the state denied him of a sewage permit because he's got 300 acres is in the county, but the state has denied his sewage permit because they told him that the Blue Oval, they owns two permits and is active, and Mason has an active permit. Well, on his 300 acres, before he get anything, he got to find a way to get sewage. Well, what's the best place? And he knows right now that we have been approving through the state to run to the Lucy-Hatcher River, which Lucy-Hatcher River from Mason, it's about 8 miles. And he's want to come and to take over so he can run his sewage plant through Mason so he can reap all the benefits.
Okay, so the county was supposed to provide that core service, but they haven't so far. But they do provide it to other places and those other places happen to also have their own force. So it sounds like they're not helping the people who are most in need. Am I interpreting that properly?
Correct.
Okay. Has the comptroller or any other folks at the state level of government, are they aware of this disparity in how services are being distributed, and have they come to your aid in any way?
I don't know if the controllers are aware of any of it. And no, they have never came to my aid. The comp controllers only started coming to me. And once they realized that Ford was coming to Mason. In other words, they didn't ever come to Mason. They didn't even think about Mason.
So that's the mayor of Mason, Tennessee, talking about why he thinks why this is really going down, or why it's all of a sudden hot and heavy that the comptroller get involved with the city of Mason, Tennessee, and it's really because of the sewage. There's only 3 permits for the sewer, and the new plant, Ford, has 2 of them already designated for them, and then, of course, Mason, Tennessee has one, and just like the mayor said, they're in very close proximity to, I think he called it the Wallatachi River, I think. So they're set up, but it benefits them to do this takeover so that they can run everything, control everything. And I think that Judge Joe Brown was in a Spaces 2 days ago, and he said that he, allegedly, maybe this comptroller Mumpower has his hand under the table so that once his appointment is over, he's able to just parlay right into this 5.6 or $6.5 billion endeavor that's about to go on here with Ford and Tennessee. Black Wall Street, any thoughts on that, sir?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it's about. It's about positioning the county mayor. Now, not only that, with the sewage situation and his land development, but not only that, when you get control over the charter in the town, then you get to control the taxes. And when I say that, I don't mean that Mason won't get any taxes, and the county will still get their percentage that they normally get on the bulk of whatever taxes are being paid there. But you get to control the development going on and the expansion. There's going to be a lot of gentrification going on over there as well, and they'll be able to control who gets to build what, where, whether or not they pay taxes or don't pay taxes, and those kind of things. So they could really play the good old boy game with their fellow investors and developers, because this is all mapped out. These kind of development sites like Ford's putting in, they're planned out 5-10 plus years in advance. They don't just come on a whim and say, okay, we got approval for X amount of dollars, I think we'll just build here. No, they position themselves geographically, demographically, shipping, distribution, just a plethora of factors go into this kind of this size of a development.
Absolutely. So what I want to do is run this real quick clip. Give me just a moment here. Okay. Before we do that, before we go to any other clips, Denise, how are you? Thank you for pulling up.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, yeah, we can hear you. You're super duper. So now thank you for being here. Denise has been, is another, there's like a good handful of us that are, we're trying to get our hands dirty in being instrumental in helping to save this town. And actually, while I'm here, let me say that I do have the link to the GoFundMe. It's pinned to the top of the chat. So so many things have happened. And so I'm just trying to quickly, because I don't know how much time my guests have. And I just want to quickly go through just to, again, bring everybody up to speed on what's going on in Mason, Tennessee. But Denise, I don't know if there is something that you wanted to add real quick before I move on to some additional details. All right, so it looks like Denise is having some problems. So with her device for some reason. So what I want to do is just give you guys a quick overview. Roland Martin and Black Wall Street, I know you had an opinion about that, but Roland Martin actually had the vice mayor and a legislature from the Tennessee Black Caucus. And here he's about to give us just a real brief overview of what Mumpower said in a letter that he'd sent to the town of Mason. So check this out, y'all.
20 years, the town government has been poorly managed. Audits have been late, budgets have not been approved, major infrastructure needs have been ignored, and fraud has taken place, just to name a few issues. For years, we have been told the problems are getting fixed, but the facts tell a different story.
Okay, so that's the letter that he wrote. It's carefully worded language where he says, due to the 20 years of mismanagement, this, that, and two-thirds. What he doesn't say is, we know it wasn't you guys that mismanaged these funds. It was the other administration in 2011, 2015 that stole money that we cut plea agreements with and told them they didn't have to pay the money back. Another person who stole money, who was supposed to be the water clerk, they didn't even arrest her. All she did was got suspended, and they closed the office doors at the water company. So she still hasn't faced any legal ramifications. But yet and still, now that Ford is coming in with this multi-billion-dollar endeavor, all of a sudden they want to act like it's so important. Wall Street, sound off. Any thoughts, sir? All right. Well, we do have some phone technical difficulties, but what I'm going to do is
Mel, can you hear me?
I sure can. Hey, Denise.
Hey, thank you. I apologize that I was late getting on.
It's okay.
I did get an opportunity to talk to the mayor this morning, which is another reason I was late getting on.
That's
But
okay.
so a couple things, and I'm not sure what you covered. I'll try not to be redundant, but I'll share my insights and kind of update people on what's happening. I posted this on Twitter, what I'm about to say right now, which is a mailing address for those who would like to mail money orders or checks to the city of Mason. So that's on my Twitter profile as well. And if folks are going to make remote deposits directly to the account for the city of Mason, it needs to just note that it's for repayment of the water fund to the general fund. So take a look at that. I will say that I'm glad we're having this conversation in this space to bring additional folks in. There are lots of things that are going to be happening at the beginning of this week in terms of local folks doing some collaborating and other decision makers. So we're going to have updates probably every day as those meetings are held and decisions are made. You may have already shared with folks that the comptroller will be meeting with the mayor's office on Tuesday. So we're looking forward to what's going to come out of that meeting. And I know there's a lot of work and a lot of meetings that were happening over the weekend as well as today. So we'll keep folks updated.
That's awesome. So now, in regard to that, because I think I did see or hear something about the comptroller and the mayor meeting, but how effective is that meeting going to be, Denise, if if he's already just sent the letter? What new is going to be discussed in subsequent meetings at this point? And to your knowledge, has Ford Corporation said anything else about what they plan to do? Because I know they did post a tweet stating that they plan to be a good neighbor, and they want to look out for Mason, Tennessee. But that's only one tweet. So do you have any updates in regard to that?
Yeah, so I can't speak about the agenda for the meeting between the comptroller and the mayor. I will say though that there's lots of pressure, lots of action happening. And so one never knows. Now, I will say Ford did issue a statement clarifying that it was committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that they requested additional information about the situation, background information, and that they were committed to providing equitable opportunities to the folks of West Tennessee, including the residents of Mason, right? What we do know, though, is if this removal of charter takes place, the quote-unquote city of Mason will essentially not be. So it's very important that this city's charter is maintained. There were some particular calls to action that I know the mayor was planning to issue to the comptroller in a proposal, if you will. And I would hope that that would be a part of that conversation as well. You clarified, Mel, I heard you say kind of the history of how other cities have had mismanagement issues or just, financial management issues, which happen,
Right.
and they were offered financial support as well as technical assistance. And so what I envision is that the mayor, based on our conversations with him as a community, that the mayor will request that and clarify what you said. This is a 15-year history prior to him taking office, and he's the first administration, according to the comptroller supervisor, to be getting things in the right direction. So to come in and take over now when progress is being made and to essentially dismantle the city, right? Seems both unfair, and given the history of helping other cities with actual financial support as well as technical assistance, seems not just inequitable, but it seems really
Disingenuous.
unfair. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So, and your phone was, I don't know, it sounds like it might be mobile. And maybe you had your window down or something, Denise, because there was a little bit of air blowing through. Black Wall Street, are you on deck, sir? Do you have any commentary, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. I'm here.
Please. Please.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I missed some of what was being said. I had a phone call coming through.
Oh, okay. Not a
Urgent
problem.
call from one of the people that's working directly with the mayor as well. KD
Yeah.
is her Twitter handle, and she was the one directly responsible for starting that GoFundMe. She's been in phone calls and meetings since the beginning. She was the one that helped this thing go viral from the beginning. We got a tweet from Tariq Nasheed, and once she saw that, she started investigating, and she didn't like what she saw. And so we've been supporting and running with her ever since. And then Denise is coordinating some of these Twitter space meetings with the mayor. But all this information just piling out. This is an organic situation, and this is an impromptu situation. This just happened on the fly. We're gathering more information as we go, but it's really not looking good for Ford. It's not looking good for the governor. It's not looking good for the state comptroller. It's not looking good for the county mayor. It's like a power grab going on over there just to control the economic boom that's going to take place. So that way the local citizens and municipalities will not be able to, primarily the black ones, will not be able to, because as we know, I think we mentioned already, Mason is predominantly black town with a black mayor and vice mayor. But they will not be able to fully capture the growth and economic benefits that are coming out of this development. And this is what, a $6.5 billion development from Ford that's supposed to create and sustain about 6,000 jobs.
Right. So, you know what, and you know what, Black Wall Street, I'm glad you're here because you keep bringing up just the right points. I want to run this clip real quick where the Vice Mayor, Virginia Rivers, is talking about how the county mayor is actually sitting on the Ford board. Peep game, y'all.
So talk about this Ford facility that's coming in. How significant is this?
It's very significant because Mason can really prosper with this Ford company. We're glad the Ford company is coming. What we don't understand is why this is happening now. The comptroller has not bothered. They talk about our infrastructure of the town. If the infrastructure was so bad, you knew Ford was coming 9 years or so ago. So why didn't you bother to come in, try to help Mason get their self together if that was the case? But I will also let you know that the mayor that's trying to take over our town, the county mayor, sits on the Ford board. Not only does he sit on the Ford board, he also has purchased, the county has purchased 300 to 500 acres of land between Mason and the mega site. So you tell me why they want to take over.
Come on. And that's a question that you really don't have to ask. I mean, the answer to me seems plain. I don't know, Denise or Black Wall Street, if you have any comment on that.
So I haven't vetted the information about Jeff Huffman being on the board of Ford. I know he was appointed by the governor to this role, and that the governor appointed people to assist specifically with this negotiating and process, and that my understanding from public conversations with the mayor that we had with the community, with the Twitter spaces, was that Jeff Huffman, the Tipton County mayor, was directly involved with the negotiations with Ford, but I haven't vetted the membership on the board. That seems like a very odd arrangement. If that's the case, I haven't vetted it.
Right. And especially if it was even allowable. Black Wall Street, what are your thoughts, sir?
Yes, I think that again, that's just another red flag going off. That he was previously involved in the discussions. He had to have been being on his land purchase that he's made. We're trying to get the details on that. But allegedly, he has, again, this 250, 300 acre land plot that he's, seeded to rake in, bags of cash on the development in that area. I believe that's in Stanton Town. Maybe Denise can, or you can confirm.
Right.
But yeah, it's, there's supposed to be a committee or that's orchestrating this entire operation, and they have yet to loop in the Mason, Tennessee mayor. That's the key point. They have not included him in discussions. He's been the mayor for 3 years. They never sat down and said, okay, this is what's coming.
Right.
And this is what we need to do. How can we help you? Because we know the previous white regime left your town in shambles,
Come
and you're
on.
having to clean all this up. How can we help you? Can we give you some additional funding and cover that $600,000 that was embezzled? Can we do that for you from the state? Can we help you out? What can we do to help you? Instead, now they wait till the last minute and try to perform a hostile takeover.
Right.
And a modern day lynching and hanging this guy based on what the previous regime is doing, so they can take his power and control everything that goes on there, all the dynamics, so that the people or the mayor, who is elected by the people, don't get a say in what goes on there. And this is classic with gentrification. They always have somebody up at the top, pulling the strings and telling where the investors can go and how much they get taxed and all these types of deals. So who knows? At this point right now, I don't even know what kind of tax incentives were offered to Ford. And how much taxes
Right.
are they going to pay? Are they going to be, have they been, is
Yeah.
a Tri-County mayor getting all this money from this development? So he said, yeah, just come on in. We won't even tax you. I mean,
Right.
I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So this is very suspicious and very poor character behavior,
Hmm.
and very, it's not very honorable at all. So
Yeah.
the people of Tennessee, the people of Stanton, the people of Tri-County, the people of Mason, they need to stand up and they need to speak out on what's going on here. We're doing our best to echo um, the sentiments that we have and get our voices heard and really weigh in on these state, uh, local, county, and local municipal
Officials.
government representatives to really let them know that we're not going to stand for this. We're not going to let them do this to Mason, Tennessee under our watch. We're staking or we're planting our flag and staking our claim right now, and we're letting them know that we're flat-footed on this. We're not going to let them come through and just
Right.
railroad this town and perform a modern day Black Wall Street massacre.
Absolutely, without a fight. And it's not, this town hasn't been designated as a historical Black town, but it's rich with history of being a Black town. And I think Katie, it might be trying to get in here, but it looks to be like her device is not connecting, which is unfortunate.
Hey,
Um,
Mel, before you
yes,
get into the history of the town, I
yes,
would
ma'am.
like to clarify a point that was mentioned earlier. It is
Sure.
Stanton, Tennessee is the town in Haywood County. What's significant, and you may have mentioned this already, what's significant about Mason is that it is in Tipton County, but it's only 4.5 miles away from
Right.
this site. And my understanding is that in terms of commuting, in terms of potential living for workers who may relocate there, Mason would be a viable option to see a lot of boom growth,
Right.
traffic, and all of that. So, in regard to what the vice mayor said, I wanted to confirm that because that was news to me, and it is what I thought it was, which is that the governor had appointed a board to a 4-person board to oversee the Ford project, and I believe Huffman was the county mayor for Tipton was on on that board, but not
Oh,
on the corporate board of
Ford.
Ford
Okay,
Company.
perfect. Awesome, Denise. See, that's why you're so vital to the conversation. So there's a couple other things that and I know we're running past 30 minutes now, and I don't want to run too long. But there are a couple of things a couple of clips I really still wanted to play. One about, I can't remember the guy's name. He was in the spaces that you held recently, Denise, where he was talking about an environmental study. And I think what he said was so key. So I'm going to run that clip real quick. So you guys just stand by. Here we go.
And stuff like that. So that's kind of where I looked to see if they had done a environmental impact, study, which I guess what I came across was I guess they had done one for an Interstate 69. Now I'm not on the ground, so I'm not an expert on exactly what's happening, on that level.
And you're speaking not necessarily about the theft. You are speaking about some of the plans for the area, which might be driving this decision for the state to take over decision making from Mason, because there might be bigger other plans. This sounds like Queen Sugar to me, for real. If y'all don't watch that at all, there might be some other background plans that people have, and this is their way to get to doing what they want to do. Am I interpreting correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the other part that hasn't been disclosed, and I feel like if they were able to quietly take the charter or quietly take over financial control of the town, and I think one thing we didn't emphasize was that if the comptroller, Mumpower, and you guys see him in your lower right hand corner, looking like a but if he were to take financial control in his capacity as comptroller, the town of Mason would not be able to do any financial transactions that exceed $100 unless he approves it. And so, in one of the spaces, the mayor did discuss, you can't pay phone bills, you can't fill up the city vehicles, even though there's like 1,300 residents in the town. With gas prices increased, I don't know how many city vehicles they have, but you can't do anything over $100. We know that. So truly running a business, you can't, you have to have more than $100 to be able to make things happen. I don't know. Wall Street. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. $100, as the mayor mentioned, is barely, you can't even put a full order of office supplies together with that. I mean, and I've been in those positions where I've had to, office administrator or whatnot, and have to order office supplies. So I know that's at least like $250, and with the price of gas right now, I mean, that's not even a question about filling up tanks of vehicles, because I own a full-size truck myself. And let me tell you right now, in the city of Houston, where the gas prices are not as bad as other places, it's still upwards of $85 to fill a tank. So you can't get hardly anything done, if anything at all, with $100.
And he knows
you might be able to get a pizza party going or something.
Well, and the comptroller knows that. And seeing that to me is another tell that his efforts are disingenuous, because if they weren't, if he was, really gave care and concern about the residents and the situation that Mason, Tennessee is in, that line in that letter would have said, you can't make any financial transactions that exceed $1,000 or, $2,000. So to limit them to $100, you are really stripping them of every bit of any level of power if they were to turn over that charter, or if he's successful in this financial takeover.
And that's the goal, obviously, is to limit their ability to make financial decisions. That losing the charter would mean that with all the construction, building, infrastructure, all the stuff that's going to need to be built in Mason, through Mason, in that area, they would lose decision-making power about all of it. What comes in, where it goes, who gets to participate in it from a business procurement perspective. So the goal is for them to have absolute control over the development in that region. And I'm assuming they feel that it is just just easier to move Mason out of the way since it's 4.5 miles, and it will likely be a key factor in how things are played out there. One of the things that the mayor did say, and others have said, is that there are, in the county, there's some need for additional infrastructure, not related to Mason, but the county in general. And they want to use some of Mason's land and such to get that done. And so it, to me, strikes, and I wrote about this in the Medium article that I wrote, just summarizing what this is for people. To me, it just says it is easier to remove your decision-making power than to collaborate with you as a Black leader. So we're going to roll over you is what it lands as to me.
And we're going to blame you for the stuff that the, as the Vice Mayor Virginia Rivers referred to them, the European Americans. We're just going to throw all of their misdoings and their misgivings and their bad behavior and just, sum it all up and put it on you guys. Take your power, take your charter, and let you guys sit by and watch. Now, before we get out of here, there's two things. I know in one of the spaces that you, I think this is the initial space that you led, Denise, where we did talk. That was one of the questions that was asked of the mayor is, did you have a seat at the negotiation table? And so, and the mayor responded, no. And so this is why I'm wondering what, this upcoming meeting is going to be about. And I'll be honest with you. I feel, and I think I shared this with you too, Denise, that, the mayor seems like a very easygoing, general run-of-the-mill type of guys. And so my biggest concern is that it's not part of his personality to be like super assertive. And so I'm concerned that when he has this meeting with this comptroller, that he may not be assertive enough. What do you think about that, Denise?
Yeah, so I'm a Southerner at heart, Mississippi gal, grew up in the middle of a cotton field. So I think Southerners have a slow burn. It takes us a while to get riled up. I've been up north enough, and maybe I've always been a little bit easy to rile in one way or another. But I think that the mayor, when I've spoken to him and in my conversations with him, is passionate about saving the town. I think that he is mindful of the pressures that are around him as the leader of the town and as people are jockeying for power over Mason and decision making there. I think that he has, from my understanding, a team of people around him are providing consultation and such. So I don't think that he'll be in this meeting by himself. And I will say that there are other actions that are happening at multiple levels, and we'll see definitely what comes out of both this meeting with him, but also the other meetings that will probably include this happening with him and the comptroller as well.
Awesome. So it looks like KD actually was able to pull up, which I'm really grateful. Her time is limited, as is all of ours. KD, welcome. Thank you for pulling up.
Thank you so much for having me.
Girl,
I
absolutely.
really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've been talking about you, girl. And I just want to let you know that the GoFundMe link that you're pretty much overseeing, I've placed that, I've pinned that here in the chat. So we have talked about that. Is there any additional insight? Black Wall Street also shared that, it was part of your, you pretty much got this issue kicked off after responding to a tweet or seeing a tweet from Tariq Nasheed. I know I became aware of it because I follow you on Twitter and I saw it on there. So I know this thing is picked up and gained speed immediately, if not sooner. But is there anything extra that you want to kind of share about Mason and what the goals and objectives are, at least at this point? Katie? So, all right. So it looks like we've got a little bit of technical difficulties, y'all. We've been having that, but
Can I just chime in real quick?
absolutely, Black Wall Street, please.
I
Yes.
wanted to speak on the mayor and the current council over there
Yeah.
and just give a little bit background. This mayor is, from what I can tell, pretty amazing gentleman. He has a full-time job at the St. Joseph's Hospital. I
Right.
believe it's a children's hospital. I'm not sure if that's in Memphis or, close by or whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, he may be commuting, but he's living in the house that he was born in there in Mason, Tennessee. Now, the vice mayor, from what I understand, her ancestors are were directly involved in the founding of that township. And
Oh, wow.
so these people have the utmost desire and responsibility to see that town benefit and prosper.
Right.
And I think that's why they're working so diligently with this aspect. And we got to understand small towns and the people in small towns, they move a little bit different. And as a Black man coming from a small town dealing with a large white corporation, you're going to be very careful about the steps you take and how you respond to situations. You're not just going to be lashing out, in
True.
fury and this and that, because you understand the kind of backlash that can happen. If I'm not mistaken, it was mentioned that um, his family had a gas station or something like that that got burnt down. So we don't know what kind of threats or anything that guy is dealing
Mm,
with at this point, or
yeah.
what kind of environment and mood and landscape he's dealing with while he's
Right.
going through these things. But he seems to be a pillar in his community, being that he's living in the house he was born in, and the history in that town. And he said it himself, there's no place I'd rather be than Mason, Tennessee.
Right.
When he said that, I just knew that this guy is really wants his town to succeed. He even said that in Denise's space that she hosted. He said, I just want to see my people prosper and do good and grow and be better.
Right.
That's what he wants for his town. So
Yeah.
this guy is really fighting this fight. And he may not, you know, like Denise said, he has a great council around him and key people in key positions to help him out through this process. And we just want to lend him aid in any kind of service we can provide for him to help him with what he's dealing with, either monetarily or with any kind of resources of experts in this situation. I know myself personally, I have somebody that directly works in these type of situations with municipalities and airports and different things to raise money and various aspects like that, and growth and development. So I've already got them researching this situation and seeing what kind of solutions we could bring. So I hope that they'll bring forth something soon. But this town of Mason is on the cusp of, again, a modern day Jim Crow
Right.
lynching type operation. We're not going to stand for it.
Right. And you know what? I appreciate you inserting that perspective because, um, and because I actually hadn't thought about, that those are some of the things he's probably dealing with, um, and it's, it's sad. And what I'm hoping is that the, uh, what's his name, the comptroller is not taking advantage of the fact that the mayor is, smooth and easy. You understand what I mean? That he is kind of laid back because he doesn't appear to be the type of person that gets riled up or is going to bang his fist on the table, and that's not the way to conduct business anyway. So,
But
um,
if you listen to Denise's space that she hosted, you could hear the passion in that guy's voice. You
absolutely.
could
Oh
hear the
yeah.
frustration of what's going on. But when
Yeah.
you're in a small town of 1,500 people, and you're
Right.
going against a corporation in a state that the
Right.
corporation alone has, 10 times the people you have in your town as employees. I
Hmm.
mean, you're going to
Exactly.
pick your battles and you're going to
Right.
preserve your energy, because this is not a sprint. This is a marathon.
Come on.
Yeah, what I would say about that is so there's a legal element here that's going to be important for them to leverage. And I know that there's workings happening around that. And there's also a political element that needs to be leveraged here as well, that is being leveraged. So he doesn't necessarily have to raise his voice about that. And to Black Wall Street's point, it's probably more strategic that he leverage his energy in the ways that are going to get that can be heard and where he can't be framed in a certain kind of way. So I can definitely appreciate that. You'd ask about the question of what the calls to action were. So in terms of what the expectation is for the comptroller, it's to basically stop with this pursuit of dechartering, taking the charter of Mason, given the extenuating circumstances of both how they got here and the fact that it seems that the state of Tennessee has provided inequitable support to Mason. So they haven't given financial support in the way that they had to other places. They are not considering the fact that this mayor and his administration have turned the tables on 15 years of previous misconduct and misappropriation of funds and theft and the whole deal that the state of Tennessee apparently, I don't know how aware they were, but they didn't try to take the charter then. So the demand is for them to instead provide strategic collaboration. The mayor of this town and this county, which is closest to this site, needs to be included actively and equitably in conversations and negotiation. The state needs to provide technical assistance, which means if there are structures from an operational perspective that are needed, the state and through the comptroller's office or whatever other mechanisms they have need to provide that. If there is planning and zoning and other things that need to happen, the state needs to work with the municipality for that. And they need to provide some financial and material support to Mason, considering they were also not able, in their prosecution, they were not able to get restitution from the people who stole. So they need to do those three things to support the town in an equitable way, rather than to take it over and remove decision-making power from these freedmen. And I will say that the mayor did clarify that he is a descendant of slaves. He is a freedman as well.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm happy that I'm glad that this has been brought to our attention and that, we've been able to kind of band together and work towards, helping this mayor out. Katie, it looks like you might be back on track, girl. Did you have anything you wanted to add while we have you? Okay. All right. So we've a day of technical difficulties, but I think we got the point across. I want to thank everybody for pulling up. Denise, thank you for joining Black Wall Street. I know you dropped. Let's see.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming, KD. I appreciate you pulling up, although I know you had some phone issues. Is your mic on now? Is your mic working now, KD? Okay. So
Mel, can we give out, it might be in your description box for the video, but in terms of people connecting with us on Twitter so that they can keep the updates and whatnot, I am at P Denise Long. And do you have Katie's handle as well?
I don't have it here, but what I will do is make sure that they are in the description before the show gets cold. Certainly.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Both yours, Katie's, Black Wall Street. Shout out to Sean Davy Way in the building. Thank you, Sean, for showing up. And just to Denise and Katie, just to make you guys aware, this gentleman here, Sean Davy Way, I reached out to him earlier today. He's got this man is amazing. And hopefully he and I will be able to have a conversation where he may be able to actually bring some other awareness to this as well. And so if that happens, either somebody's going to reach out to you to see, because he certainly has a larger audience as well. And but he's about it. So here's Black Wall Street again. So
sounds great.
Yeah. So pretty much, I want to thank you guys for spontaneously coming up and just sharing your insight and your overview on what's going on with hashtag Save Mason Tennessee, and the GoFundMe link is pinned to this chat. I'm going to get the mailing address for people who want to mail funds Denise, I'm going to get that from you, and also put this in the description as well, in addition to everyone's Twitter handle, so that they can get involved and either attend spaces or just keep on top of it. So I thank all of you for showing up today. I really
Hello,
appreciate
Mel.
it.
Can you hear me?
Thanks, Mel, for the conversation.
Absolutely. Yes, Black Wall Street, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I had some technical difficulties. Some reason my mic and sound went out. I couldn't hear anything or say anything. But I came back. Thank you for pulling me back up. I just wanted to remind people the call to action. We need to echo this, our sentiments that we're not standing for this. We need to let our voices be heard on Twitter, cross-platform to Facebook, Instagram. Use the hashtag Save Mason, Tennessee. And again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating any of these things. We're already covered. But we also have a call to action to sign a petition on change.org. I don't know if you have that link there as well. And then we have that GoFundMe. We're raising money to help this township out so they can pay their bills and stuff like that. And one of the things that we didn't mention, or we didn't get a chance to mention, when he said they were going to limit them to $100 approval, they're saying that they got to pay $22,000 back on that $600,000 before they can pay any other bills, including their own staff.
Come on.
So they're really, really tightening the vice on these people unjustly, and this is very unjust behavior. So again, thank you everybody for your support, and get this out there. We had it trending the first day or two, but we need to make sure that it continues trending. So please follow me at Black Wall Street Houston 03 on Twitter, so you can find out more information, and look for that hashtag Save Mason, Tennessee, so you could kind of follow the story as it's gone on and continues to move forward. Again, this is an organic situation, a lot of moving parts. This was not something planned out. This was something we just found out about mid last week, and we just picked it up and started running with it, because we're not, this is just what we do. We don't stand around waiting to see what happens. We get into action, and we take action.
Ain't that the truth?
And I'll add one thing, and I know you're trying to sign off, but thank you for
No.
all that you said, Black Wall Street, of course.
Absolutely.
And this is what we're seeing here, and we may have said this, but it bears saying again. We know that this is a repetition of what's happened in the past. We know that there have been many of Black towns that have been erased with, between highways being moved away from them, so they just kind of dry up, or whatever the case may be. So with this, what we are looking to do is replicate this across our country if we can, because what we know is we need to keep these Black-run towns alive, and we need to keep Black power in position to improve and maintain the quality of life for the descendants of slaves around this country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, thank you. Thank you so much for pulling up. I appreciate it greatly. Everybody else in the comments.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And you guys, thanks for pulling up. That's it. That's the podcast. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, Replay Gang, leave a comment, because I want to hear from you. And until next time, we will see you when we see you. Welcome to the Only Male Cruise Show, the podcast. I am the only Male Cruise. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, Replay Gang, leave a comment. I want to hear from you. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Let's go to work.